you're going to move on. You're going to find new love. You're going to find something that really raises your spirits. You're going to feel better. Some of you guys are meeting a fixed sign: Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio. I also have Libra. Trust your intuition above anything else. Alright, I'm done. This is just saying the same thing, guys. You guys have someone traveling towards you. They're distant from you now. This is a non-committal person. It has passed its expiration date. We have star. It says success guaranteed. There's a message on the way that'll make you very happy. Look at this. Waiting for news, package, letter. There's a message coming in, clarity coming toward you from someone that's going to make you happy. I'm also seeing your physical health or your mental health improving as long as you are focusing on your well-being. Those of you that are trying to improve your health, success is guaranteed if you put the efforts into it. Some of you might not have liked news you recently heard, but I see you have the power to change that. Craft cup, dissatisfaction with life. And this is telling me those of you that have this dissatisfaction, you have all the power, you have all the control to change your circumstances. Happiness. You have more control over your happiness than you realize. You have more control over your current circumstances than you realize. We have ear. Good news coming your way. You're going to receive some type of news, or I'm getting like you could have recently received bad news on your health, but then you go into action, you take action, and then you improve your health, and then you get good news. Some of you guys, something's not as bad as it might seem, but I'm just getting like a message coming towards you. Who is this from? Who is this from? Three of Pentacles. I mean, that can mean anything. Someone that you just had a discussion with or a meeting with. Good news on the way. Could be a Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. Somebody at the workplace, someone you met at the workplace, someone who's ignoring you. You're not happy about the situation. There's a message coming in that's going to make you happy. Leo energy. Be sure to check your other signs if it doesn't resonate. You have 333. Like I said, you are powerful. You are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. And you have more power over your current circumstances than you believe. It says you are being called upon to use your spiritual gifts as a light worker, assisting all of humanity. Live your truths and be a positive light to others. Some of you guys possess very unique skills that you need to be expressing. That is a part of your life's journey, your life's work, your ascension. There's some changes happening here. You're going to need to learn to adapt. It says flexibility is your forte. When life throws you curveballs, you can easily adapt to new circumstances and find excitement in the unexpected change. Be brave and bold in your endeavors. So there's powerful change coming towards you. And I do see you being able to adapt to these changes, but I'm also getting a message here, Sagittarius, that you guys have a lot more control over your life, your life's journey, your life's path than you give yourself credit for. hope I didn't permanently piss off the Sagittarians. Everything I say is with love, and at the end of the day, tarot is for entertainment purposes only. All right. Thank y'all so much for hitting the like button and putting up with me. Thank y'all. And you know your situation better than I do. Someone said, did you say something bad? I don't think so, but I will tell you this, and I think it's probably well known. I do get self-conscious of my delivery because I know I get overly excited and I sound like a whack job. Like I'm like, da 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 da, and then I'm like, why? But it's like I have to say the message as I get it or it'll slip away. And so, because a lot of it's channeling too and reading tarot. And then I get like super self-conscious because I don't really let it get to me. Like, I'm going to be real. I really don't let it get to me. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to. But I get all kinds of hate comments. And I know this is probably going to provoke them to do more because they love it. But sometimes I'll read a comment that says they point out a flaw in my, like, the way I deliver. Or, you know, they'll say something. And then I'm like, I'll start reflecting on it. And then yeah. But the great thing is I'm a Gemini, so I forget like 5 minutes later. I'm very forgetful. Very forgetful. And that's another reason why I have to just like say the message as I get it. And it might come across as rude or insensitive, but I promise you I'm not trying to be rude or insensitive. But I have listened to it myself, and it sometimes does sound that way. So I will validate that opinion. But at the same time, I'm not trying to sound that way. It's just that's how I say the message. And it really, there's no feelings behind it whatsoever. Like, I don't have any feelings towards it. I know I sound insensitive, and I don't try to. Basically, is what I'm saying. So, anyway, I promise you I do even say everything with love. Oh, yeah. Hey, thanks. Wow, y'all. Thank y'all so much. Mimi, thank you so much, babe. I really appreciate that. Monique, thanks, babe. And Empress, thank y'all so much. Thank you guys. Y'all are so sweet. Thank y'all. Okay, enough about me. Enough about me. But I do. Sometimes I think something's wrong with me. Because I was actually just talking to my fiance about this. I'm like, I know I do not have to say every little thought that comes to mind. And I don't say every little thought that comes to mind. But sometimes I catch myself thinking out loud. And like, I might not even like, I don't know how to explain it. Or like, I'll listen back to myself when I'm on these readings. And I'm like, why do I sound so rude? Like, I'm not trying to sound rude, I promise you. And I'm harder on myself than anyone else. Y'all do not have, I'm just saying. So, anyway, I don't mean to come across as insensitive. I really don't. Or rude. It's just something mentally wrong. Just kidding, kind of. All right, let me get going. Hey, Latera, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you guys. That's so generous. Thank you so much. Okay, enough about me. What is this? Therapy hour? I do not know. Could you imagine our conversation? But I promise you, I'm not like if we were just sitting, chilling, hanging out, I'm really not this rude and blunt. I'm really not. But something about when I'm reading tarot, like I have to say what I see, and it just sounds like I don't have time to soften the blow. because I'll forget the message. But anyway. Okay. Let's shut the up, Christine. All right. Thank you, Latera. Thank you so much for that comment. Thank you, Carol. Hi, Miss Roxy. I was wondering about you yesterday. I don't know why. You crossed my mind yesterday, Miss Roxy. I don't know if it's because I felt like I haven't seen you in a while or what. I don't know. But hey. Hi. Hey, girl. Hey. Okay. Do not back down, Capricorn, from opposition. Rising Phoenix, thank you so much. Y'all are so sweet. Thank y'all. Don't back down from opposition. You need to defend yourself. Listen, sometimes when people fuck around, they need to find out, right? And typically, I would suggest ignoring a situation, but that's not what the tarot is saying. The tarot is saying if something here is bothering you and you feel like you need to address a situation, do it. Do not back down from whoever this is. There might be someone coming towards you that is trying to test you. There might be someone here that is wanting to create problems in your life. And I feel like this person wants you to keep quiet. It says you need to defend yourself. Some of y'all need to stand up for yourself more. Defend yourself more. And you don't have to do it, like, be mindful of the way you approach it. Like, there's a way you can defend yourself and protect yourself, your name, your reputation without looking immature. There's ways to do it. I feel like approaching the situation very directly and emotionless, like don't come at a situation with emotion and like defensive energy rather than logical energy here. An exciting event. What is this? Some of y'all are about to get the chance to stand up for yourself. It's coming and you should take it. It might excite you too. Some of you guys might get really passionate about standing up for yourself, but if someone is saying like passive aggressive, if someone's being passive aggressive towards you or like doing something that you clearly asked them not to do, I feel like you need to stand up for yourself. I do see a fresh start coming in. It says new creative ideas, a new venture, a fresh start. Some of y'all need to kick someone right in the ass, metaphorically speaking. Some of y'all need to give someone the boot or really let someone know. I'm also getting those of you that are wanting to find love or get better love options. It says increase your effort if you want to achieve your goals. This could be in love or in the workplace and business. But I am getting a fresh start in romance here. Some of y'all, it's a new job. I do see that. Some of y'all, it could just be a new job. The most difficult part of the situation is over. I'm getting rip the Band-Aid off and let someone's done like fucked around too many times, or someone's like testing your patience or being passive aggressive, thinking you're not going to stand up for yourself, thinking you're not going to say anything. Some of y'all just need to say something. Just say it. Could be a family member that's really testing you, or you're like using you as like a joke, or I'm just getting somebody here just needs to be put in their place. Cross the line, or I'm getting they're going to cross the line in the future, and you're going to have an opportunity to stand up for yourself. I see you getting over something, a flaw, an insecurity, something that might be, there's something on a subconscious level. What is this? Some of y'all, there might be something that really you're insecure about or you're bothered by. I see you getting, look at this. I see you saying, fuck it, I'm the queen or king, whatever. I just see y'all kind of getting over it and loving yourself anyway. Yeah, Page of Swords in reverse. You're like, it's not even that important, or it's not even like, you're not going to pay attention to your insecurities anymore. I see y'all paying closer attention to the things you love about yourself, or you need to. I also see stability coming your way, financial stability. Yeah, in the form of like a new job or a raise, a promotion. Some of you guys, the magician, the high priestess, some of you guys possess very unique skills. You could be starting a spiritual business or a business in general. You have all the tools necessary to start whatever this is. I see it being successful. There's an Aquarius that has feelings for you. Could be a Pisces, Virgo, Gemini as well, or an Aries. Some of y'all, there's someone threatened by you. I feel like someone might be passive aggressive towards you, or like this person's real manipulative. They're real fake. And it's like you see who they really are because you have a really good intuition. Your intuition's telling you that this person is purposely trying to hurt you or be passive aggressive or throwing some type of shade your way. You could be correct. Could be at the workplace. Some of y'all, it's your boss, or just you guys could be having struggles with your boss at the workplace, or it's almost like there's coworkers that are purposely trying to make you look bad in front of the boss. Telling lies. I feel like there might be someone trying to ruin your reputation. I don't want to paranoid you, but it's almost like someone's trying to ruin your credibility or your reputation. Okay. You might need to stand up for yourself or speak up, or it's like, don't just brush it off. If someone's like says something catty, or it's like someone's trying to embarrass you or make you look bad, I feel like you need to like look at this. Ace of Swords. I feel like y'all need to speak up and just be like, this is like hypothetically, say someone's making a joke at your expense, or someone is trying to make you feel bad, or trying to say things. Tell them you didn't hear them. Make them repeat themselves. Like if somebody's making fun of you or somebody says something, you should just be like, what did you say? I didn't hear you. Make them have to repeat the bullshit that just came out of their mouth. And then not only that, ask if someone's making fun of you, ask them why it's funny. Ask them what part of it is funny. Make them explain their shade. I'm serious. I feel like that will embarrass that person. If you guys are dealing with that obstacle. Who is this? Sporting man. unfortunately, sometimes it takes people, sometimes the only way people can bond is by making someone an outcast. I've noticed it, and I've always been that outcast. Seriously. Sometimes people can only get along or bond or develop relationships with each other if they are making someone else out to be an outcast or a joke. And 9 times out of 10, they do that towards the best person in the room. They do. People will tear you down to bond with other people. It's like people need somebody, a mutual enemy or a mutual something to bond over because they're insecure. They have nothing else going for them. They can't talk about themselves, so they have to talk about you. Anyway, it looks like there's a true love coming in, but there's an obstacle, a delay. What is this delay about? I'm getting your true love on the way, but there's a delay. Ooh, somebody married. Drama. Somebody's got to get out of the situation. That's the delay. I'm getting, you might hear from this person that they're recently divorced or that they are divorced or they were married before. Guys, I'm getting someone coming in to connect with you, to have a relationship with you, but in the present moment, they're either fighting their way out of a connection or they're fighting their way out of a commitment, a contract. I'm getting like this person is trying to move in a new direction in their life. And it's like the energies are coming towards you and you don't see it coming in. Yeah, I think this person has been married before and they have children. I see someone that has been married and that has children coming towards you. There's a lot of passion though. It says great passion, happiness, protected from negative forces beyond your control. This is a weird message, but you know what, Capricorn? Back to those of you that feel like you're the the butt of the joke, or you feel like you have people that are being passive aggressive towards you, or you feel like an outcast. Would you believe me if I told you it's a part of your ascension, it's part of your spiritual journey? Like these people are doing exactly what they're meant to do right now. They're meant to outcast you. They're meant to make you feel excluded because I feel like you're going to know how it feels to be in this position. And so after you grow and expand and evolve, I feel like you're going to have all of this wisdom to share to other people down the road and help them through their experiences. But it's also telling me something about your soul's lesson. Okay, I'm getting off that. I'm getting off that. But basically, I'm getting like someone, there may be people or someone in particular trying to get you caught up in like their web, but you're protected. It says increase in material wealth or spiritual growth. I see you guys growing spiritually the rest of this year and entering next year with a lot of wisdom. There's a lot of changes in your life that are going to be taking place now and until January. A lot of changes, guys. I'm getting spiritual development that you might not even be realizing is what's going on right now because it's so kind of like mundane and just not, it's like a regular life. It's like regular situations, but all of these situations are happening to benefit you spiritually. But as the beginning of next year starts, I'm getting like great passion, happiness coming towards you. think a lot of it has to do with money. It says money will be coming to you. Firecracker excitement. I'm getting like a really exciting start of next year. Some of you Capricorns, I'm just getting like a really exciting event to start your new year off. I'm getting like meeting somebody. Hey, the power within. Thank you so much for the super chat, babe. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. The power within. I appreciate you. Sorry these messages are so long. I'll try to shorten it next time. Y'all know I get carried away. I see you receiving child support or, an increase. There's some type of increase coming towards you when it involves a child. And I'm getting, guys, there's somebody here coming in that has been married before and they have a child. For my single Capricorns, I see someone that has been married and that has a kid, at least one kid. Soulmate. Some of you guys may be hesitant to give someone a chance because they have a child, or you may think about things that could potentially go wrong. But I'm getting it's a great connection coming in. Like, you don't have to, you have free will, but I feel like maybe you should get to know this person. You should give this person a chance. Communicate your concerns after the situation turns a little more serious. It's saying an unknown person, or this is just a new person coming towards you to communicate. But I feel like there may be some things about this person that you don't like, or like some hesitancy here. It says true gem. There's more underneath the surface to this person. I feel like it's someone who would treat you very well, someone who's a great communicator. But for some of you guys, a lot of you Capricorns, you may just see there's too many flaws within this person, or it's kind of like maybe you don't want to commit when this person comes in, or you just don't like the fact. There's something about this person I feel like you're not going. Like, I feel like you may be reminded of the past, or there's something about this person that reminds you of a past lover. And you might deem that as a red flag. So listen to your own intuition. But I see new love coming in, but there's something you don't like about this person. Thank you so much. The power within. I really appreciate your support, babe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat, Amo. Thank you so much, babe. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Let's get you an angel number. Okay. 1010. It says, I am patient. Keep your thoughts positive and be patient as everything is working out for your highest good. Trust that your angels are working behind the scenes to help you. And guys, always keep in mind that, you have free will. Thank you so much, Amo. Thank you, babe. I appreciate that. All right, Aquarius. Remember to only take the messages that resonate. These are kind of crazy today. Empress, Goddess, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Thank y'all so much. All right, let's see, Aquarius. Well, there you are, the star, center stage. You're really successful here. Famous? I see fame. Now, obviously, that's not going to resonate with every single Aquarius, but I'm definitely getting, maybe you have a strong Cancer placement. I'm seeing fame. Maybe you're famous in a small town. Let's see what else wants to come out. Wow. A shocking turn of events in your life. I see you breaking free, too. The Tower. You are going to experience, let the, what word am I looking for? Let the weak parts of this foundation crumble. There may be some things that fall apart, or friendships, or situations that just kind of fall out. Let it happen, because I do see something better being built in its place. Some of y'all are just like famous in a small town. Like, I'm getting people gossip about you, people know about you. People that you don't even know are having conversations about you because there are other people that know you to talk about you. But I am getting like, some of y'all might have been in like, some of y'all might have gotten into some trouble here and people know about it. I'm getting like a jail or like a mugshot. That's specific. Don't take it if it doesn't resonate. Okay. But I'm getting like a newspaper, or like, this could be metaphorically speaking, like, you're well known. Some of you guys, there's people talking about an ending in your life, gossiping about an ending in your life, or something that's going on with you. Be mindful of your vehicle. I'm seeing like your vehicle overheat here, or like there's something to do with your vehicle that needs to be attended to. There could be some important documents too that you're needing to have on hand. Let me tell y'all right now, if y'all have been arrested for something, there are people. Y'all have been arrested for something. There are people.
Well, this shit want to act crazy now. Yeah, hold tight a minute. Hold tight a minute.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
I don't know what the hell going on here. It's always something, ain't it? I guess they don't want, you know how it go. They don't want them messages to get out. They don't want, you know how it goes. They don't want the wrong messages to get out.
Is what I'm hearing. Okay. So happiness in terms of money, happiness in terms of success is coming your way. With the Page of Cups, I also see that
How y'all doing today? Ghetto
someone
child,
from your
Bobby B.
closest, within your close circle will express interest in you. And you probably are aware about this, that someone is actually interested in you and they have been waiting for a real long time for you. This may be a childhood friend, a college friend, university friend, or someone in the neighborhood. You probably are reconnecting with this person after a long time. Huh. King of Wands, Five of
What's up? Welcome back to Impossible. Next up, I have Capricorn. Where are my fucking possible Capricorns at? You know, I was picking up this energy for you guys. Yo, oh gosh, some of you guys like are tired. It's like you feel like yourself repeating yourself with people. You kicking knowledge to people that have to be spoon fed ABCs. Like fucking dude, are you fucking stupid? It's like you feel like everybody's fucking stupid. Like you speak in plain English or plainly, and people still don't fucking get it.
Ain't
You know
nobody
what I
smash that
mean?
like
So
button.
it's like right now it's just like you guys are up in your head, overthinking your life. If you guys are in a long-term relationship, okay, you guys are overthinking your life right now. You're gonna be getting an unexpected phone call because somebody was just calling my phone, possibly from an ex or somebody wants to get back with you. This is what I feel. But somebody's really, you're gonna have some shit here. But some of you guys are dealing with a relationship that is like, yo, are you fucking stupid? Like, you know, you're tired of repeating yourself, okay? But it's like now you're just like, okay, done with you. I'm done talking. All right. There we go. Yeah. Some of you guys are changing up your looks, changing up your platform, but you guys have a lot of knowledge, but your mind is too advanced for certain people, okay, and even in your connection. So it's like people that you're meeting is like, okay, you're still stuck on elementary. You know, your mind is too advanced. Okay, I see you guys doing a lot of research again, but high honors, higher learning. Life path 3, socializer. What I said? What the fuck was I just saying? You know, but you're socializing, but you're gonna be connected, aligning with people that understands you. Okay, all right. Like yo, creativity, self-expression, fun, right? Remain optimistic yet realistic in the face of difficulty. So again, you guys are going through your own self-development process. You see the flowers, some are undeveloped, roses. Okay, some are undeveloped, but still developing, still maturing. Okay, and tapping into text coming through. So you're gonna have a lot of just like you guys are up in your head, overthinking your life. If you guys are in a long-term relationship, okay, you guys are overthinking your life right now. You're gonna be getting an unexpected phone call because somebody was just calling my phone, possibly from an ex or somebody wants to get back with you. This is what I feel. But somebody's really, you gotta have some shit here. But some of you guys are dealing with a relationship that is like, yo, are you fucking stupid? Like, you know, you're tired of repeating yourself, okay? But it's like now you're just like, okay, done with you. I'm done talking. All right? There we go. Yeah. Some of you guys are changing up your looks, changing up your platform, but you guys have a lot of knowledge, but your mind is too advanced for certain people, okay? And even in your connection. So it's like people that you're meeting is like, okay, you're still stuck on elementary. You know, your mind is too advanced. Okay, I see you guys doing a lot of research again, but high honors, higher learning. Life path 3, socializer. What I said? What the fuck was I just saying? You know, but you're socializing, but you're gonna be connected, aligning with people that understands you. Okay, all right. Like yo, creativity, self-expression, fun, right? Remain optimistic yet realistic in the face of difficulty. So again, you guys are going through your own self-development process. You see the flowers, some are undeveloped, roses. Okay, some are undeveloped, but still developing, still maturing, okay, and tapping into text coming through. So you're gonna have a lot of distractions. There's a lot of distractions going on because I got phone call, I got text.
Aries has a lot of energy. They are great workers. Their motto can be live hard, love hard, work hard. But they can develop tunnel vision about a project, which can sometimes make them seem self-centered. If an Aries doesn't get the pat on the back for their accomplishments, it can cause them to become rude and sarcastic. They dislike displays of inactivity. The presence of Aries typically marks the beginning of something stormy and high energy. Love relationship. Aries need to take their initiative when it comes to romance. During the early stage of romance, they will show their feelings before thinking.
Made up as follows: 17 face cards, 11 trumps, and 39 pip cards. This card set is the only known classical Western set that has 6 ranks of face cards. The third set is Brea Brambilla, named after Giovanni Brambilla. This set contains 48 cards and has 2 trumps, Wheel of Fortune and the Emperor. All the pip cards have a silver background, while the face cards have a gilt background. Rider-Waite Tarot Deck. This deck is
Res interna, cogitans, which means that they are the products of emotions and mentations. The purpose of spiritual work is the elimination of this primary barrier in order to discover res externa, extensa, essence, as reality revealed as creation, that is, the world as it is, essence, and not as it is perceived or appears to be. The transition from illusion, res cogitans, to reality requires not a change of content, but of context, and therefore of paradigm. The realization of reality is the consequence of a shift to identification with experiential context instead of content, and is, therefore, a major shift of paradigm. The emergence of the real is a spontaneous effulgence that is consequent to removing the limitations of perception and its barriers. The transcendence of limitation is the result of intention and subordination of the personal will, with its illusory gains and payoffs, to divine will. While the state or condition of what has been called enlightenment is celebrated, its exact nature has only been alluded to by analogy, and it has also tended to become mythologized. Thus, terms like the supreme, the ultimate, or the absolute tend to attract glamorization and fantasy elaborated by imagination. The state of enlightenment is not a superimposition, nor does it depend on the addition of a quality. The subject is the condition. Similarly, the condition or state is not a claim, as there is no personal claimant. What is expressed verbally is simply a statement of facts that report the condition, which is merely a confirmation of the reality of its source once again. Thus, the condition is also not an achievement, nor does it imply accomplishment. Nothing is gained by glamorization of the state, which is far beyond the possibility of exaggeration. Despite the effulgent nature of the condition, description serves the purpose of communication, which is essentially a revalidation of the reality of divinity. Preceding stages. The transition from the experiencer of the ego self to the presence of the self is very major. Because of its prior experience, the mind has the expectation that such a state will really be an extension of itself, or will be some kind of otherness, and therefore new and unfamiliar. Neither expectation is correct. As the levels of consciousness are transcended, the quality of experiencing changes in ways that have already been described, transcending the levels of consciousness. Both the world and the subjective self become progressively more benign, compassionate, and loving. In the high 500s, the flow of the Kundalini energy has begun to transform observation and subjective experiencing to levels of inner joy, and the world appears ever more beautiful and incredible. The perfection of all things shines forth. This leads not only to joy, but also, eventually, to an indescribable ecstasy that precludes worldly function. When even that wondrous state is surrendered to God, it is replaced by an all-pervasive stillness, silence, and peace that are even beyond ecstasy in its wonder. Within the intrinsic beauty, the sacredness of all creation emanates forth from within, as well as beyond form. The formless essence of divinity radiates out via form itself. Progressively, the linear is replaced by a nonlinear oneness. The allness of divinity is strongly confirmed by the immense power of love as intrinsic to creation and divinity. The presence of love is all-pervasive and experienced as one's intrinsic self. It melts linearity into oneness, which is simultaneously exquisitely gentle and, paradoxically, infinitely powerful. As has already been described, if the devotee has been following the pathway of negation, what may emerge next is the high illusion of the void as the ultimate reality. The pathway presents infinite oneness and nonlinear perfection and is all-inclusive, infinite, and beyond time or location. This illusion occurs at calibration level 850, as mentioned previously. The void is to be recognized and refused if it is devoid of love. From this point on, one proceeds not by negation, but by affirmation, which is reinforced by deep prayer and supplication to God for guidance. Divine love is not to be confused with the emotionality, attachment of what is ordinarily perceived as human love. As the qualities and context of each stage are surrendered to God, a final confrontation arises that also has to be surrendered, and it is challengingly confrontive. The devotee needs to be adequately prepared because failure at what could be called the final door may result in very severe dejection that may last for more than just one lifetime. The serious student needs to know well in advance, therefore, that at the very last doorway, they will be confronted with their willingness to surrender life itself, or at least to that which has been believed since the beginning of evolution to be the very core of life itself. This final gateway is very rarely passed, and one reason is the lack of preparation, lack of certainty, and a final doubt of major magnitude. Therefore, for the deeply committed, very serious student only, the following section is provided. The final doorway. As this approaches, the entire context is pristine, pure, formless, and nonlinear. There are no others, nor is there anywhere to turn. There are no longer any personal qualities or positionalities, nor is thinkingness available, as the mind is silent and non-conceptual. There are no images or memories. Consciousness alone remains as awareness itself, with no object or content of that consciousness awareness. It merely is of its own, with neither subject nor object. It is awareness itself that is aware, and there is no remaining entity that is aware. At this point, awareness is identified with the quality of life itself. That is all that is left, just life. This sense of the pure core of life has lost its prior qualifications, adjectives, verbs, or nouns. These have been surrendered long before. All that is left is just the pure quality of life itself as the core of existence. Then arises a progressive fear, which compounds to almost terror, that this too must be surrendered at the doorway. Thus arises the fear of absolute death or annihilation into nothingness and non-existence forever. At this point, it is obvious that what is to be surrendered to God is the life of the self and its motive to continue to exist as the experiencer and seeming source and substrate of life, the last illusion. This is a very strong illusion, and to face it takes courage, faith, conviction, and the very depth of devotion. To thee, O Lord, do I surrender life itself. Because the mind is silent, it cannot be consulted. In its place arises a knowingness that appears as a result of the vibrational frequency within the aura that has been absorbed from the knowingness of an enlightened teacher somewhere in time. The knowingness is that all fear is illusion. This must be known with absolute certainty. Ignore the terror, for it is really what could be called the final test, and surrender life itself. That one is actually dying is confirmed because that is the inner experience. This is the one and only death that can ever occur, and it arises because it has never before been surrendered. Physical death is relatively nothing at all. There is a sudden leaving of the body, and life goes on, re-emerging as another embodiment. Thus, this confrontation is the first and only time it will ever have to be faced and surrendered. As one lets go, there are a few moments of dread, and then the doorway opens to the infinite splendor and glory that is beyond all description. Revelation. The mind remains silent, and there is an immense awe as creation now appears as revelation, iridescent, radiant as though enchanted, and vibrant with the efflorescence of unmistakable divinity. All is as though in intense technicolor, electrified and luminous. All is conscious, and conscious of being conscious, and conscious of the awareness of consciousness of all else that exists. All is intrinsically worshipful as a consequence of the conscious awareness of the presence of God as creation in its most minute details. All is holy and sacred, as evidenced by its splendor as existence itself. Therefore, all things are seen as sacred and holy. All things, both large and small, are sacred. Thus, Gloria in excelsis Deo. Even texture itself is prominent and seems to be transformed into an aliveness with a radiant quality. All is alive, and its intrinsic essence shines forth as a presentation that is inclusive of recognition as an innate, worshipful quality. All is equal by virtue of its essence, its perfection, and its efflorescent luminosity. The glory of God is far beyond the capacity of comprehension, and instead there is a contextual self-identity that one is what is being comprehended, and yet there is nothing to really comprehend. At this point, description has to stop because of the duality of languaging. Transcending that final doorway required the surrender of the seeming core and source of life itself. There is the overwhelming astonishment at the discovery that all that exists is creation as an expression of divinity. And the field of consciousness pervades all that exists. Thus, divinity is intrinsic to all that exists, as well as to the awareness of that reality. All that exists reflects the divinity of its source. Paradoxically, by surrendering life, one discovers life. Even the presence of the physical body is too peripheral to be noticed. However, it is later rediscovered as sort of a surprise.
If you truly desire to know the cause of the phenomena of life and how to use this knowledge to realize your fondest dreams. In the midst of the apparent contradictions, antagonisms, and contrasts of your life, there is only one principle at work, only your consciousness operating. Difference does not consist in variety of substance, but in variety of arrangement of the same cause substance, or consciousness. The world moves with motiveless necessity. By this is meant that it has no motive of its own, but is under the necessity of manifesting your concept. Consciousness is the arrangement of your mind, and your mind is always arranged in the image of all you believe and consent to as true. The rich man, poor man, beggar man, or thief are not different minds, but different arrangements of the same mind, in the same sense that a piece of steel, when magnetized, differs not in substance from its demagnetized state, but in the arrangement and order of its molecules. A single electron revolving in a specified orbit constitutes the unit of magnetism. When a piece of steel or anything else is demagnetized, the revolving electrons have not stopped. Therefore, the magnetism has not gone out of existence. There is only a rearrangement of the particles, so that they produce no outside or perceptible effect. When particles are arranged at random, mixed up in all directions, the substance is said to be demagnetized. But when particles are marshaled in ranks, so that a number of them face in one direction, the substance is a magnet. Magnetism is not generated, it is displayed. Health, wealth, beauty, and genius are not created. They are only manifested by the arrangement of your mind, that is, by your concept of yourself. And your concept of yourself is all that you accept and consent to as true. What you consent to can only be discovered by an uncritical observation of your reactions to life. Your reactions reveal where you live psychologically, and where you live psychologically determines how you live here in the outer visible world. The importance of this in your daily life should be immediately apparent. The basic nature of the primal cause is consciousness. Therefore, the ultimate substance of all things is consciousness. Chapter 3. Power of Assumption. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. All that befalls a man, all that is done by him, all that comes from him, happens as a result of his state of consciousness. A man's consciousness is all that he thinks and desires and loves, all that he believes is true and consents to. That is why a change of consciousness is necessary before you can change your outer world. Rain falls as a result of a change in the temperature in the higher regions of the atmosphere. So, in like manner, a change of circumstance happens as a result of a change in your state of consciousness. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. To be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas, for you think from your ideas. All transformation begins with an intense burning desire to be transformed. The first step in the renewing of the mind is desire. You must want to be different and intend to be before you can begin to change yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. You do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. By desiring to be other than what you are, you can create an ideal of the person you want to be and assume that you are already that person. If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. The ideal you hope to achieve is always ready for an incarnation, but unless you yourself offer it human parentage, it is incapable of birth. Therefore, your attitude should be one in which, having desired to express a higher state, you alone accept the task of incarnating this new and greater value of yourself. In giving birth to your ideal, you must bear in mind that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. This is a point that is truly understood by probably not more than one person in a million. You know a thing mentally by looking at it from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it and defining it, by thinking of it. Whereas you can know a thing spiritually only by becoming it, only by thinking from it. You must be the thing itself and not merely talk about it or look at it. You must be like the moth in search of his idol, the flame, who, spurred with true desire, plunging at once into the sacred fire, folded his wings within, till he became one color and one substance with the flame. He only knew the flame who in it burned, and only he could tell who ne'er to tell returned. Just as the moth in his desire to know the flame was willing to destroy himself, so must you, in becoming a new person, be willing to die to your present self. You must be conscious of being healthy if you are to know what health is. You must be conscious of being secure if you are to know what security is. Therefore, to incarnate a new and greater value of yourself, you must assume that you already are what you want to be, and then live by faith in this assumption, which is not yet incarnate in the body of your life, in confidence that this new value or state of consciousness will become incarnated through your absolute fidelity to the assumption that you are that which you desire to be. This is what wholeness means, what integrity means. They mean submission of the whole self to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, in certainty that that new state of consciousness is the renewing of mind which transforms. There is no order in nature corresponding to this willing submission of the self to the ideal beyond the self. Therefore, it is the height of folly to expect the incarnation of a new and greater concept of self to come about by natural evolutionary process. That which requires a state of consciousness to produce its effect obviously cannot be effected without such a state of consciousness. And in your ability to assume the feeling of a greater life, to assume a new concept of yourself, you possess what the rest of nature does not possess: imagination, the instrument by which you create your world. Your imagination is the instrument, the means whereby your redemption from slavery, sickness, and poverty is effected. If you refuse to assume the responsibility of the incarnation of a new and higher concept of yourself, then you reject the means, the only means, whereby your redemption, that is, the attainment of your ideal, can be effected. Imagination is the only redemptive power in the universe. However, your nature is such that it is optional to you whether you remain in your present concept of yourself, a hungry being longing for freedom, health, and security, or choose to become the instrument of your own redemption, imagining yourself as that which you want to be, and thereby satisfying your hunger and redeeming yourself. Oh, be strong men, and brave, pure, patient, and true. The work that is yours let no other hand do. For the strength for all need is faithfully given from the fountain within you, the kingdom of heaven. Chapter 4. Desire. The changes which take place in your life as a result of your changed concept of yourself always appear to the unenlightened to be the result not of a change of your consciousness, but of chance, outer cause, or coincidence. However, the only fate governing your life is the fate determined by your own concepts, your own assumptions. For an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. The ideal you seek and hope to attain will not manifest itself, will not be realized by you, until you have imagined that you are already that ideal. There is no escape for you, except by a radical psychological transformation of yourself, except by your assumption of the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Therefore, make results or accomplishments the crucial test of your ability to use your imagination. Everything depends on your attitude towards yourself. That which you will not affirm as true of yourself can never be realized by you, for that attitude alone is the necessary condition by which you realize your goal. All transformation is based upon suggestion, and this can work only where you lay yourself completely open to an influence. You must abandon yourself to your ideal as a woman abandons herself to love, for complete abandonment of self to it is the way to union with your ideal. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled until your assumption has all the sensory vividness of reality. You must imagine that you are already experiencing what you desire. That is, you must assume the feeling of the fulfillment of your desire until you are possessed by it, and this feeling crowds all other ideas out of your consciousness. The man who is not prepared for the conscious plunge into the assumption of the wish fulfilled in the faith that it is the only way to the realization of his dream is not yet ready to live consciously by the law of assumption, although there is no doubt that he does live by the law of assumption unconsciously. But for you who accept this principle and are ready to live by consciously assuming that your wish is already fulfilled, the adventure of life begins. To reach a higher level of being, you must assume a higher concept of yourself. If you will not imagine yourself as other than what you are, then you remain as you are. For if ye believe not that I am he, ye shall die in your sins. If you do not believe that you are he, the person you want to be, then you remain as you are. Through the faithful systematic cultivation of the feeling of the wish fulfilled, desire becomes the promise of its own fulfillment. The assumption of the feeling of the wish fulfilled makes the future dream a present fact. Chapter 5. The Truth That Sets You Free. The drama of life is a psychological one in which all the conditions, circumstances, and events of your life are brought to pass by your assumptions. Since your life is determined by your assumptions, you are forced to recognize the fact that you are either a slave to your assumptions or their master. To become the master of your assumptions is the key to undreamed of freedom and happiness. You can attain this mastery by deliberate conscious control of your imagination. You determine your assumptions in this way. Form a mental image, a picture of the state desired, of the person you want to be. Concentrate your attention upon the feeling that you are already that person. First, visualize the picture in your consciousness. Then feel yourself to be in that state as though it actually formed your surrounding world. By your imagination, that which was a mere mental image is changed into a seemingly solid reality. The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention, firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. It cannot be emphasized too much that by creating an ideal within your mental sphere, by assuming that you are already that ideal, you identify yourself with it and thereby transform yourself into its image, thinking from the ideal instead of thinking of the ideal. Every state is already there as mere possibilities, as long as we think of them, but as overpoweringly real when we think from them. This was called by the ancient teachers subjection to the will of God, or resting in the Lord. And the only true test of resting in the Lord is that all who do rest are inevitably transformed into the image of that in which they rest, thinking from the wish fulfilled. You become according to your resigned will, and your resigned will is your concept of yourself and all that you consent to and accept as true. You, assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled and continuing therein, take upon yourself the results of that state. Not assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are ever free of the results. When you understand the redemptive function of imagination, you hold in your hands the key to the solution of all your problems. Every phase of your life is made by the exercise of your imagination. Determined imagination alone is the means of your progress, of the fulfilling of your dreams. It is the beginning and end of all creating. The great secret is a controlled imagination and a well-sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, until it fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. What greater gifts could be given you than to be told the truth that will set you free? The truth that sets you free is that you can experience in imagination what you desire to experience in reality. And by maintaining this experience in imagination, your desire will become an actuality. You are limited only by your uncontrolled imagination and lack of attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When the imagination is not controlled and the attention not steadied on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, then no amount of prayer or piety or invocation will produce the desired effect. When you can call up at will whatsoever image you please, when the forms of your imagination are as vivid to you as the forms of nature, you are master of your fate. You must stop spending your thoughts, your time, and your money. Everything in life must be an investment. Visions of beauty and splendor, forms of a long-lost race, sounds and faces and voices from the fourth dimension of space, and on through the universe boundless, our thoughts go lightning-shod. Some call it imagination, and others call it God. Chapter 6. Attention. The double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James chapter 1, verse 8. Attention is forceful in proportion to the narrowness of its focus, that is, when it is obsessed with a single idea or sensation. It is steadied and powerfully focused only by such an adjustment of the mind as permits you to see one thing only, for you steady the attention and increase its power by confining it. The desire which realizes itself is always a desire upon which attention is exclusively concentrated, for an idea is endowed with power only in proportion to the degree of attention fixed on it. Concentrated observation is the attentive attitude directed from some specific end. The attentive attitude involves selection, for when you pay attention, it signifies that you have decided to focus your attention on one object or state rather than on another. Therefore, when you know what you want, you must deliberately focus your attention on the feeling of your wish fulfilled until that feeling fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of consciousness. The power of attention is the measure of your inner force. Concentrated observation of one thing shuts out other things and causes them to disappear. The great secret of success is to focus the attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled without permitting any distraction. All progress depends upon an increase of attention. The ideas which impel you to action are those which dominate the consciousness, those which possess the attention. The idea which excludes all others from the field of attention discharges in action. This one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind, I press toward the mark. This means this one thing you can do, forgetting those things that are behind. You can press toward the mark of fulfilling your mind with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To the unenlightened man, this will seem to be all fantasy, yet all progress comes from those who do not take the accepted view, nor accept the world as it is. As was stated heretofore, if you can imagine what you please, and if the forms of your thought are as vivid as the forms of nature, you are, by virtue of the power of your imagination, master of your fate. Your imagination is you yourself, and the world as your imagination sees it is the real world. When you set out to master the movements of attention, which must be done if you would successfully alter the course of observed events, it is then you realize how little control you exercise over your imagination, and how much it is dominated by sensory impressions and by a drifting on the tides of idle moods. To aid in mastering the control of your attention, practice this exercise. Night after night, just before you drift off to sleep, strive to hold your attention on the activities of the day in reverse order. Focus your attention on the last thing you did, viz., getting into bed, and then move it backward in time over the events until you reach the first event of the day, getting out of bed. This is no easy exercise, but just as specific exercises greatly help in developing specific muscles, this will greatly help in developing the muscle of your attention. Your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated in order to change your concept of yourself successfully, and thereby change your future. Imagination is able to do anything, but only according to the internal direction of your attention. If you persist night after night, sooner or later you will awaken in yourself a center of power and become conscious of your greater self, the real you. Attention is developed by repeated exercise or habit. Through habit, an action becomes easier, and so in course of time gives rise to a facility or faculty, which can then be put to higher uses. When you attain control of the internal direction of your attention, you will no longer stand in shallow water, but will launch out into the deep of life. You will walk in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, as on a foundation more solid even than earth. Chapter 7. Attitude. Experiments recently conducted by Merle Lawrence, Princeton, and Adelbert Ames, Dartmouth, in the latter's psychology laboratory at Hanover, New Hampshire, prove that what you see when you look at something depends not so much on what is there as on the assumption you make when you look. Since what we believe to be the real physical world is actually only an assumptive world, it is not surprising that these experiments prove that what appears to be solid reality is actually the result of expectations or assumptions. Your assumptions determine not only what you see, but also what you do, for they govern all your conscious and subconscious movements towards the fulfillment of themselves. Over a century ago, this truth was stated by Emerson as follows: "As the world was plastic and fluid in the hands of God, so it is ever to so much of his attributes as we bring to it. To ignorance and sin it is flint. They adapt themselves to it as they may, but in proportion as a man has anything in him divine, the firmament flows before him and takes his signet and form." Your assumption is the hand of God molding the firmament into the image of that which you assume. The assumption of the wish fulfilled is the high tide which lifts you easily off the bar of the senses where you have so long lain stranded. It lifts the mind into prophecy in the full right sense of the word. And if you have that controlled imagination and absorbed attention which it is possible to attain, you may be sure that all your assumption implies will come to pass. When William Blake wrote, "What seems to be is to those to whom it seems to be," he was only repeating the eternal truth. There is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. Romans chapter 14, verse 14. Because there is nothing unclean of itself, or clean of itself, you should assume the best and think only of that which is lovely and of good report. It is not superior insight, but ignorance of this law of assumption, if you read into the greatness of men some littleness with which you may be familiar, or into some situation or circumstances an unfavorable conviction. Your particular relationship to another influences your assumption with respect to that other, and makes you see in him that which you do see. If you can change your opinion of another, then what you now believe of him cannot be absolutely true, but is only relatively true. The following is an actual case history illustrating how the law of assumption works. One day, a costume designer described to me her difficulties in working with a prominent theatrical producer. She was convinced that he unjustly criticized and rejected her best work, and that often he was deliberately rude and unfair to her. Upon hearing her story, I explained that if she found the other rude and unfair, it was a sure sign that she herself was wanting, and that it was not the producer, but herself that was in need of a new attitude. I told her that the power of this law of assumption and its practical application could be discovered only through experience, and that only by assuming that the situation was already what she wanted it to be could she prove that she could bring about the change desired. Her employer was merely bearing witness, telling her by his behavior what her concept of him was. I suggested that it was quite probable that she was carrying on conversations with him in her mind which were filled with criticism and recriminations. There was no doubt but that she was mentally arguing with the producer, for others only echo that which we whisper to them in secret. I asked her if it was not true that she talked to him mentally, and if so, what those conversations were like. She confessed that every morning on her way to the theater she told him just what she thought of him in a way she would never have dared address him in person. The intensity and force of her mental arguments with him automatically established his behavior towards her. She began to realize that all of us carry on mental conversations, but unfortunately, on most occasions, these conversations are argumentative, that we have only to observe the passerby on the street to prove this assertion, that so many people are mentally engrossed in conversation, and few appear to be happy about it, but the very intensity of their feeling must lead them quickly to the unpleasant incident they themselves have mentally created, and therefore must now encounter. When she realized what she had been doing, she agreed to change her attitude and to live this law faithfully by assuming that her job was highly satisfactory and her relationship with the producer was a very happy one. To do this, she agreed that before going to sleep at night, on her way to work and at other intervals during the day, she would imagine that he had congratulated her on her fine designs, and that she, in turn, had thanked him for his praise and kindness. To her great delight, she soon discovered for herself that her own attitude was the cause of all that befell her. The behavior of her employer miraculously reversed itself. His attitude, echoing, as it had always done, that which she had assumed, now reflected her changed concept of him. What she did was by the power of her imagination. Her persistent assumption influenced his behavior and determined his attitude toward her. With the passport of desire on the wings of a controlled imagination, she traveled into the future of her own predetermined experience. Thus we see it is not facts, but that which we create in our imagination, which shapes our lives. For most of the conflicts of the day are due to the want of a little imagination to cast the beam out of our own eye. It is the exact and literal-minded who live in a fictitious world. As this designer, by her controlled imagination, started the subtle change in her employer's mind, so can we, by the control of our own imagination and wisely directed feeling, solve our problems. By the intensity of her imagination and feeling, the designer cast a kind of enchantment on her producer's mind and caused him to think that his generous praise originated with him. Often our most elaborate and original thoughts are determined by another. We should never be certain that it was not some woman treading in the winepress who began that subtle change in men's mind, or that the passion did not begin in the mind of some shepherd boy, lighting up his eyes for a moment before it ran upon its way. William Butler Yeats. Chapter 8. Renunciation. There is no coal of character so dead that it will not glow and flame if but slightly turned. Resist not evil. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. There is a great difference between resisting evil and renouncing it. When you resist evil, you give it your attention, you continue to make it real. When you renounce evil, you take your attention from it and give your attention to what you want. Now is the time to control your imagination and give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. You give beauty for ashes when you concentrate your attention on things as you would like them to be rather than on things as they are. You give joy for mourning when you maintain a joyous attitude regardless of unfavorable circumstances. You give praise for the spirit of heaviness when you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency. In this quotation, the Bible uses the word tree as a synonym for man. You become a tree of righteousness when the above mental states are a permanent part of your consciousness. You are a planting of the Lord when all your thoughts are true thoughts. He is I am, as described in chapter 1. I am is glorified when your highest concept of yourself is manifested. When you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior, your attitude will be completely altered without any diminution of religious feeling, and you will say of your controlled imagination, "Behold this vine. I found it a wild tree, whose wanton strength had swollen into irregular twigs. But I pruned the plant, and it grew temperate in its vain expense of useless leaves, and knotted as you see into these clean full clusters to repay the hand that wisely wounded it." By vine is meant your imagination, which in its uncontrolled state expends its energy in useless or destructive thoughts and feelings. But you, just as the vine is pruned by cutting away its useless branches and roots, prune your imagination by withdrawing your attention from all unlovely and destructive ideas and concentrating on the ideal you wish to attain. The happier, more noble life you will experience will be the result of wisely pruning your own imagination. Yes, be pruned of all unlovely thoughts and feelings, that you may think truly, and thy thoughts shall the world's famine feed. Speak truly, and each word of thine shall be a fruitful seed. Live truly, and thy life shall be a great and noble creed. Chapter 9. Preparing your place. And all mine are thine, and thine are mine. John chapter 17, verse 10. Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Revelation chapter 14, verse 15. All is yours. Do not go seeking for that which you are. Appropriate it, claim it, assume it. Everything depends upon your concept of yourself. That which you do not claim as true of yourself cannot be realized by you. The promise is, "Whosoever hath, to him it shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that which he seemeth to have." Hold fast in your imagination to all that is lovely and of good report, for the lovely and the good are essential in your life if it is to be worthwhile. Assume it. You do this by imagining that you already are what you want to be, and already have what you want to have. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Be still, and know that you are that which you desire to be, and you will never have to search for it. In spite of your appearance of freedom of action, you obey, as everything else does, the law of assumption. Whatever you may think of the question of free will, the truth is your experiences throughout your life are determined by your assumptions, whether conscious or unconscious. An assumption builds a bridge of incidents that lead inevitably to the fulfillment of itself. Man believes the future to be the natural development of the past, but the law of assumption clearly shows that this is not the case. Your assumption places you psychologically where you are not physically. Then your senses pull you back from where you were psychologically to where you are physically. It is these psychological forward motions that produce your physical forward motions in time. Precognition permeates all the scriptures of the world. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And now I have told you before it came to pass, that when it is come to pass, ye might believe. John chapter 14, verses 2, 3, 29. The I in this quotation is your imagination, which goes into the future, into one of the many mansions. Mansion is the state desired. Telling of an event before it occurs physically is simply feeling yourself into the state desired until it has the tone of reality. You go and prepare a place for yourself by imagining yourself into the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Then you speed from this state of the wish fulfilled, where you have not been physically, back to where you were physically a moment ago. Then with an irresistible forward motion, you move forward across a series of events to the physical realization of your wish, that where you have been in imagination, there you will be in the flesh also. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 7. Chapter 10. Creation. I am God, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things that are not yet done. Isaiah chapter 46, verses 9, 10. Creation is finished. Creativeness is only a deeper receptiveness, for the entire contents of all time and all space, while experienced in a time sequence, actually coexist in an infinite and eternal now. In other words, all that you have ever been or ever will be, in fact, all that mankind ever was or ever will be, exists now. This is what is meant by creation. And the statement that creation is finished means nothing is ever to be created. It is only to be manifested. What is called creativeness is only becoming aware of what already is. You simply become aware of increasing portions of that which already exists. The fact that you can never be anything that you are not already or experience anything not already existing explains the experience of having an acute feeling of having heard before what is being said, or having met before the person being met for the first time, or having seen before a place or thing being seen for the first time. The whole of creation exists in you, and it is your destiny to become increasingly aware of its infinite wonders and to experience ever greater and grander portions of it. If creation is finished and all events are taking place now, the question that springs naturally to the mind is, what determines your time track? That is, what determines the events which you encounter? And the answer is your concept of yourself. Concepts determine the route that attention follows. Here is a good test to prove this fact. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and observe the route that your attention follows. You will observe that as long as you remain faithful to your assumption, so long will your attention be confronted with images clearly related to that assumption. For example, if you assume that you have a wonderful business, you will notice how in your imagination your attention is focused on incident after incident relating to that assumption. Friends congratulate you, tell you how lucky you are. Others are envious and critical. From there, your attention goes to larger offices, bigger bank balances, and many other similarly related events. Persistence in this assumption will result in actually experiencing in fact that which you assume. The same is true regarding any concept. If your concept of yourself is that you are a failure, you would encounter in your imagination a whole series of incidents in conformance to that concept. Thus it is clearly seen how you, by your concept of yourself, determine your present, that is, the particular portion of creation which you now experience, and your future, that is, the particular portion of creation which you will experience. Chapter 11. Interference. You are free to choose the concept you will accept of yourself. Therefore, you possess the power of intervention, the power which enables you to alter the course of your future. The process of rising from your present concept to a higher concept of yourself is the means of all true progress. The higher concept is waiting for you to incarnate it in the world of experience. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us, unto him be glory. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. Him that is able to do more than you can ask or think is your imagination, and the power that worketh in us is your attention. Understanding imagination to be him that is able to do all that you ask, and attention to be the power by which you create your world, you can now build your ideal world. Imagine yourself to be the ideal you dream of and desire. Remain attentive to this imagined state, and as fast as you completely feel that you are already this ideal, it will manifest itself as reality in your world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. The mystery hid from the ages, Christ in the hope of glory. The he in the first of these quotations is your imagination. As previously explained, there is only one substance. This substance is consciousness. It is your imagination which forms this substance into concepts, which concepts are then manifested as conditions, circumstances, and physical objects. Thus, imagination made your world. This supreme truth, with but few exceptions, man is not conscious of. The mystery, Christ in you, referred to in the second quotation, is your imagination by which your world is molded. The hope of glory is your awareness of the ability to rise perpetually to higher levels. Christ is not to be found in history nor in external forms. You find Christ only when you become aware of the fact that your imagination is the only redemptive power. When this is discovered, the towers of dogma will have heard the trumpets of truth, and like the walls of Jericho, crumbled to dust. Chapter 12. Subjective Control. Your imagination is able to do all that you ask in proportion to the degree of your attention. All progress, all fulfillment of desire depend upon the control and concentration of your attention. Attention may be either attracted from without or directed from within. Attention is attracted from without when you are consciously occupied with the external impressions of the immediate present. The very lines of this page are attracting your attention from without. Your attention is directed from within when you deliberately choose what you will be preoccupied with mentally. It is obvious that in the objective world, your attention is not only attracted by, but is constantly directed to external impressions. But your control in the subjective state is almost non-existent, for in this state attention is usually the servant and not the master, the passenger and not the navigator of your world. There is an enormous difference between attention directed objectively and attention directed subjectively, and the capacity to change your future depends on the latter. When you are able to control the movements of your attention,